I've learned something, and it is that if I sit on the floor, I'm gonna want to film a YouTube video. And I wish I had realized this earlier on, because this is a YouTube video that I've been wanting to film for many months now, because inevitably people ask me what my favorite book is pretty often, and I don't really have an answer for them. I don't have an answer right now, but I know that a year or two ago I did have an answer, and that has since changed. And I kind of wanted to reflect on my journey as a reader, because I really started reading regularly in the summer of 2021. And in that summer, I remember that I started reading just like Sally Rooney books that were popular, just things that I had heard about, like Circe by Madeline Miller, things that seemed adjacent to past interest. And as I read them, I got introduced to new authors, new books. There's kind of like a trail that I can follow. I'm trying to think about it right now. Like, there was a day that I went to the bookstore with a gift card and I bought The Secret History and like some other books. And when I read The Secret History, that kind of just branched out into like, then I was interested in reading Nietzsche. Then I was interested in reading Bret Easton Ellis. Bret Easton Ellis took me to a world of film and a world of just like artistic representations of LA. And LA was a city that I never had any type of feeling for. If anything, I felt like the vibes were sinister and I had no interest in going there. And then slowly but surely, the more I kind of followed this trail of art and inspiration, I began to appreciate LA and other things. So basically what I'm saying is that over time, I've been able to see patterns in my reading and my interests, and how it's kind of cyclical. And even as these things change over time and take me to new places, my feelings change as well. Okay, like I feel like this is kind of going off the rails, but in terms of falling out of love with books, it's not that I hate the book or don't like it. It's that in the moment I was reading it, it was so fucking real to me, and everything about it, author, place, time period, everything was so, I was so saturated with it that I was living in it and loved it. And I'm talking specifically about The Secret History. I'm talking about The Rules of Attraction. Those are the two main books, honestly, if I think about it. I mean, there have been other books that I've really loved, but in terms of favorite books, Rules of Attraction and The Secret History, that I thought, this is a done deal. Like, this is my favorite fucking book. I can reread it again and again and again and again. And I did reread these books multiple times. I read The Secret History 4 times, and then the 5th time was an audiobook. Actually, no. I'm gonna add a 3rd book, and it's The Shards by Bret Easton Ellis, because, like I said, Secret History 5 times read, I think. Rules of Attraction 3 to 4 times read. And this was all in the span of like 1 or 2 years as well. These books were like magic. I mean, when a book is like my favorite in the moment, it's that like I can just go ahead and start it over right away, and I just want to be in the page. Like, I can visualize my favorite parts and passages like on the page that they are on, and as well like recall the memories of the narrator as if they were my own, and I just like want to go back into that place and like dive in. And the 3rd is The Shards. I mean, The Shards read 3 times, once audiobook, twice physically, and that's another one where every time I've read it, I am living in LA in 80 or something. And I am listening to all of the music that is referenced throughout the book. I'm wearing my Wayfarers and feeling like, wow, there's no better feeling than reading Bret Easton Ellis, being obsessed with Bret Easton Ellis, and being able to just wear Wayfarers and be like high or something, like as if you were one of his characters. But this is what's leading into my next point, that I love these books and I was living in them, and I constantly wanted to go back to them, and I was just so in touch with the characters and like the sensations and everything. But slowly over time, it was just like, as my life has changed, and I mean, I feel like I'm talking about something that is so obvious. Your life changes, you change, and then your feelings change about things that you love. But yeah, like, so I have no real desire right now to reread any of these books. And I don't really have a desire to reread most of the books that I read in this moment, in that obsessive, passionate way. I think maybe the only one I really do want to reread is probably either Demons or The Adolescent. And The Adolescent, I mean, I think maybe if I reread it now, that's what I want to do. I want to reread it and find out if I still love it as much as I did the first time, because what I loved about it so much the first time was feeling like I was in a part of my life where I was stuck. I was happy, but I felt like misaligned. I felt like I was not heading in the direction that I wanted to be in, and I was kind of dissatisfied with how my life was going. And the only thing that was really pushing me through was the fact that I knew I had a secret mission, a secret idea and plan, and that was move away and leave everything behind. And that's a plan, an idea that has lived within me from the time I was like 14. I had it very clear in my head. I knew I want to move abroad. I don't know when, where, or how, or why, but I want to, and I want to live alone in an apartment in Europe. And now I'm sitting here at 23 years old and my dream has come true. But The Adolescent was a book that really kind of made me feel seen and comforted, and even more in touch with like my internal self, and like trusting myself and feeling like, as long as I have this belief that this is going to happen and I'm going to make it happen for myself, everything will be okay. Like, every decision is slightly being guided by this secret of mine, like, if that makes any sense. So that's a book that I would like to reread, because now that I've like made my dream come true and I'm a little bit older than I was when I read it, I'm wondering if it will have the same emotional like impact on me as it did then. Because structurally, I mean, The Adolescent is not really as good as other Dostoevsky books. I mean, Demons for me is like a perfectly structured novel. But can you tell that I just sat down and started filming this? Like, I have no idea where this is going, but basically, yeah, I think it's normal to kind of fall out of love with books and still like them a lot. I would still say I like The Secret History. I love The Rules of Attraction. I love The Shards. But I feel like for something to be my favorite, I want to always go back to it. And when I was younger, like much younger, for me that was Percy Jackson. And every single year from like when I started reading it in 3rd grade up until, embarrassingly enough, like high school, I would reread every Percy Jackson book and every Heroes of Olympus book. And every time it filled me with so much fucking joy. And it is only now, well, not now, but when I was like 20, that I realized, oh, I've fallen out of love with Percy Jackson, which is a good thing as an adult. Like, obviously I still have so much like love for those books, but it's like I no longer really get that same feeling as I'm like reading them, because I'm just older now and it's normal. So yeah, same with The Hunger Games. I read The Hunger Games 19 times, if you can believe it, because it was the only book I had on my Nook when I was I read that in 4th or 5th grade. I was 10. My teacher was like, oh, you love to read. I think you should read this book. So yeah, those were like some of my favorite books when I was younger. So now I'm at this point where I don't have a favorite book. If I reread The Adolescent and felt the same way as I did the first time, I think that would be my favorite book, but I'm just not sure anymore. Okay, I'm like, I don't know what else to say now. I haven't really read anything that has touched me in a long time. I mean, since moving here, and I will make a video at the end of this month talking about what I've read, because I have finished some things. I finished The Secularization of Religious Emotions in Spinoza, Hope and Fear, Love and Generosity. I really loved this. And I've been reading that since I fucking moved here, but I finally finished it. That, and What else did I finish this month? Is that it? Oh, 2666. It was good. I actually started to like it more after I finished it, but it was not and is not one of my favorite books. And I'm reading this Isaac Babel right now, and I really love it, but again, not my favorite thing of all time. Nothing is really gripping me. Nothing is really resonating with me, and I think that it's because I am just not progressing in what I'm reading. I'm kind of like still being guided by my past interests and not really letting them evolve very much. So, for example, like I'm reading Isaac Babel, and then next I have St. Petersburg by Andre, how do you pronounce it? Bailey? I mean, I don't know. I have Crime and Punishment, but I refuse to read this because I don't want to read the Constance Garnett translation. I want the P&V one. But you see, it's like I am still following my interest for Russian literature, which I have and will never not have. But it's time for something new to enter my cycle. It's time for something new. I just know it. And I thought it would be perhaps this Clarice Lispector, An Apprenticeship, or The Book of Pleasures. I don't know if it's like the point that I am in my life, but I had to stop reading that because I just could not stand it. It kind of reminded me of Mating, which also disappointed me. I was loving it, and then it disappointed me at the end because I don't want to read anything more or watch anything more because I watched Belle de Jour, Honora, what else? I've seen a lot of movies actually. Wild at Heart, whatever. Let's just talk about those. I've just only read and seen things where it's a woman and her despair comes from a place of like what a man thinks about her and like how her relationship with a man is panning out. And then like in Belle de Jour, she's turning to prostitution and it's something that she needs for herself, and she's like sexually suppressed and like doesn't want to sleep with her husband until she's started like this kind of sex work. Similarly with Honora, where she's in this situation with Yvonne, and Wild at Heart, what's her name in that movie? Leela. She's just leaving everything behind for a man. In all of these cases and all of these movies, and also in the Clarice Lispector, and then in my friends in real life situation, I'm not gonna like out people in my life, but basically in all of these scenarios and films and books and real life, it's like, depending on what the man does, the woman reacts. And you can imagine the man being okay and recovering if the woman left his life. But if the man leaves the woman's life, it feels like the end of the world. And it's not that that's not valid, because I'm like, I see myself in these pages. Like, I see myself. I'm not immune to crashing out over a man and like caring what he thinks about me, but I'm just sick of hearing and reading and seeing things about that, because I'm just like, there's a line in, actually, I think it's Elif Batuman's book, Either Or, where Céline asks herself, is this all, what is it? I have it written down somewhere. Sorry. This is like off the fucking rails. But she says like, is this what all women are like, or is this what all women are destined for? And she's always very kind of, not even critical, but just concerned when she's reading these kinds of things and feeling like, why is the woman constantly in this position of like less power and having to be reactionary to the men in her life? And so, for that reason, I kind of stopped reading the Clarice Lispector, because I felt like I was judging it unfairly, because I was like fed up with these circumstances in real life and then like just seeing things about it. That's why I kind of like low-key fucking hate Mating now, like the more I think about it. But yeah, where was I even going with that? Oh yeah, that I feel like it's time for me to read something that's actually exciting and brings something to me. And I like I know that I said I want to get away from Russian literature a little bit, like not even get away from it, but just read something else, right? Let something else enter my my orbit of books, if you will. But honestly, I feel like if I actually had a P&V translation of Crime and Punishment or Brothers Karamazov, or I had my copy of The Adolescent again, or I reread Demons, I would genuinely be fulfilled, because those books just speak to me, and it's like the language just matches perfectly with like my heart. Like, I don't know how to explain it, but it just like is everything and makes me feel everything as I'm reading it. But I don't have those things, so in the meantime, I feel just kind of stuck reading wise, because I also just don't really want to buy any more books, and I hate reading things on my computer. And public libraries here, like, you need to have a subscription to check out books, so it's like, what the fuck? But I recently discovered that my university has different buildings with different libraries that I can check out books from. It's just impossible to search their online catalog, and I feel like they don't have things that I want to read. But I think I might just go and like browse and stuff in the next coming weeks and just see things that I've written down. Like, people have recommended me a ton of books. It's just like I said, I'm not going to go out and buy a book new ever. It will find me at a used bookstore or at a book sale or something of the sort, or it will find me in the aisles of a library. But if those things don't happen, I'm kind of like inactive with seeking out those books. But that's kind of where I'm at, like, kind of just, I'm not sure what I love to read right now. But I want to find something. What else am I reading? I wanted to say that I'm reading Mark Fisher's Flatline Constructs, Gothic Materialism, and Cybernetic Theory Fiction, and I'm really, really loving that. But I'm kind of more talking about the realm of fiction, because in terms of nonfiction, I've been reading a lot of fascinating things for my thesis and my embedded research project, which, I mean, I guess I could talk more about in my video about what I'm reading in February. But yeah, I guess I just wanted to like make this to reflect on the point I'm at in my reading journey. I mean, that sounds corny as fuck, because it's not a journey. I mean, it's just, I'm living my life, and I read books to complement my life, and it's just like life, and then I have my internal life, and as I'm reading, it's like this is always underpinning the surface. And when I'm reading something that I truly love and is truly speaking to me, it's like it just enhances my actual outward life, if that makes sense. So yeah, it's okay to fall out of love with books, and it's also okay to have raved about books and made videos about why a book is your favorite book, and then change your mind about it, because we all grow and change. And I feel like, just like life, books are like friends. Like, books are like part of your life, and they fit, and then they don't fit, and then they might fit again. So yeah, that being said, check out my description for Tertulia, 20% off your first purchase, or a link to try out the membership for free for a month, and you get free shipping and a discount on your books and something else. I will have that linked below. But yeah, I don't really have anything else to say. I hope this wasn't a pointless video, but I just felt like making it. So yeah.